right, welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. How's everybody doing tonight? Let's party! Big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back to watch this, even though you missed the live party, guys. That is the best part. So make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. I just went live yesterday, so hit that subscribe, ring the bell, and you will never miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again. Let's also say thank you to my6shirt.com, the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at my6shirt.com. All right. We got Zippy the Strange in the building. Welcome to the party. How are we doing? So, okay, I'm trying to decide what order we're going to do this in, because we definitely, we are definitely going to be watching the Lady Ballers trailer. But let's jump into it. Let's wait for a few more people to arrive, and then we'll get into it. So Jeremy Boring was on Timcast last night, and I can't think of a better conversation to have. So as always, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
Disney has actually admitted that the movies they are producing, the politics contained, do not align with the public. In an SEC filing, they're telling their investors, our bottom line is at risk because of the political nature of the content we produce. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to all revel in the victories of watching this company get woke, go broke. And there's so much more to this.
There is, and but just right there, that is huge. That is the where we always talk about the culture war, this and that. And these things are changing. There's changes happening. So absolutely clap it up for Disney finally realizing maybe we're broke because we went woke.
Because joining us tonight, we've got Jeremy Boring. The Daily Wire just put out a trailer for their new film, Lady Ballers. And it's fascinating to see the success, the rising growth of those who oppose the wokeness and the weird culty stuff in media, and the failures at the exact same time. But we have a really great example of this, because it's not just Lady Ballers. The Daily Wire announces Snow White. What happens? A week later, Snow White from Disney, which got rid of the dwarves and is going with the politically correct companions, is shelved. They're pushing it way back, and they release a new image with CGI dwarves to try and bring back the original Snow White.
I wonder if the investors were pushing the content to try and somehow break the market. I don't know if it's that conspiratorial. I think that there's just been this DEI push all globally, and Disney's a global company, and they are a gigantic company, and so it looks like they were kind of the canary in the coal mine for swallowing up wokeness whole, and we're seeing that come to fruition. Get woke, go broke. It's not a tried and true, and it may not happen right away, but people don't like wokeness. Get woke, go broke.
Now that is victory. So we're going to be talking a lot about that. Plus, we got some crazy political stuff to get to eventually. Chicago is building 2 migrant camps. It's insane. Clearing the way, building brick and mortar and tent cities for non-citizens. At the same time, we're seeing Democrats turning on Joe Biden, and Black and Hispanic voters are shifting for Trump. Why? I think in big cities, people are fed up with what's going on with immigration. So we'll talk.
Yeah, my dad just texted me. He's like, "Hey, did you hear the leader of BLM was saying they might vote for Trump?" I was like, "Oh, hell yeah." Shout out to M169. Welcome to the party. Said on Paul, 0 likes on this video when I got here. Unacceptable. Go like the video, people. Thank you, and welcome to the party. We also got Guam Tech. Welcome, buddy. So I was gonna recommend the Lady Ballers trailer during all the comedy last night. Glad you're getting to it. Oh, we are getting to it. Welcome. I'm gonna show the full trailer, but I figure we'll let some people file in first. Zippy says it's more globalism where the consumer end user is disposable.
Bingo.
Yep. And another way to say, get woke, go broke.
Talk about that. Before we get started, head over to castbrew.com if you want to buy the best cup of coffee you've ever had. Get our Appalachian Nights while you still can. We got whole bean, we've got ground, we've got K-Cups. Everybody seems to love Appalachian Nights the most. Rise with Roberto Jr. is our light roast. It was very popular for a while. But if you support our efforts in building this coffee shop, and hopefully once it's done, we'll have hundreds of locations in the next few years. If you want to see physical spaces where we can play our content, push our cultural values, retain our cultural values, go to castbrew.com and pick up a nice bag of coffee today. But
so when you guys are, wondering where do these donations go, where do the memberships go? Well, for right now, it's going to make sure that me and Morty can eat. But as we grow, then we are going to be doing more stuff like this. I'm looking into getting a Morty plushie toy for you guys. And I also want to build physical spaces, do things like that. And so I definitely love Timcast and hope to follow in their footsteps.
But also head over to timcast.com, click join us, become a member, because we're going to have a members only uncensored show at 10 p.m. It's going to be a lot of fun. You don't want to miss it, where you as members can actually submit questions and call in to talk to us and our guest. It's going to be very, very fun and fascinating.
Wonder where I got the idea for the after party.
And you'll also get access to our Discord server, which you will use to call in and hang out with like-minded individuals. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. As I mentioned, we've got Jeremy Boring of the Daily Wire hanging out.
Man, good to be back.
Absolutely.
What's
going on?
By back, I mean back in the United States, because I've spent the last 6 months overseas making our Pendragon Cycle series that we've been working on. And, it's been fun. I've been in the two of the three most conservative countries in Europe, Hungary and Italy. And it's been nice to see people taking a different approach to the problems of our time. I mean, in particular, Hungary, we're going to get to this migrant thing with Chicago. Hungary is just taking a no policy to the migration question.
Yeah, it turns out you can just do that.
I think Poland has.
Poland as well.
So the Pendragon thing, I mean, you guys, that's a series that's going to be
7 episodes debuting in 2024.
Wow. So you've got that, you've got Snow White, you've got Lady Ballers, of course. Yeah. I'm sure there's a bunch of other movies happening.
We got a bunch of people here. So let's watch the official trailer for the new comedy movie from the Daily Wire, Lady Ballers.
Too that no one knows.
Oh, wrong one.
In a world where women's sports is being transformed.
Oh, is that Riley Gaines?
The Daily Wire calls foul with the most triggering comedy of the year.
Yeah! What?
Guys, this is serious. Sports can be your pathway to a better life.
Well, like yours?
Please don't steal my catalytic converter again. Winning matters. It's the key ingredient in becoming a winner.
Maybe you should try it sometime. Are you gonna move?
I am not.
And that's kind of what I want you guys to look at. As Guamtech saying, my wife loved the trailer, is that this kind of goes back to an era of comedy that we don't really see anymore.
Let's cut to the chase. I know you're not a woman.
Hey, you don't know how he identifies.
If you can beat them,
What do you know about the U.S. Opens for the Global Games?
You want us to compete as women. $5,000 prizes.
My lover says you were a great coach back in the day.
join them.
This is the way the world is now. My 8-year-old daughter told me all about it. So a guy can become a girl with no physical changes at all.
Oh, well, that's called gender fluid.
So I can be a woman on the court and a man in the bedroom. I can't believe it. Nice.
Yes.
You mean when you're sleeping?
Yes.
Coach, Alex, we could play basketball.
We'd have to get the whole team back together.
It's time
We're in.
I'm in. I'm in.
to play
Lady Ballers. Line up.
There you go.
I'm with her. I'm in my truth. This is my truth.
This is my truth.
pro heroes.
Day one of being a girl athlete. I love being a girl.
Exactly, Guamtech.
We
Exactly.
could dominate every woman's sport. Running, swimming, soccer. I said sport, Felix. It's ladies basketball, boys. Nobody watches.
Whole night. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yep, exactly.
Are these seats open?
Never mind.
Getting dunks. and tucking trunks.
No, she didn't. That's the biggest I've ever seen on a lady.
I don't care.
Lady Ballers.
One can even be trans age now, which provides Sheelix with a wonderful opportunity to relive all the experiences that she missed out on in school.
Streaming exclusively on Daily Wire Plus December 1st.
I mean, come on. Come on. So that is what we were talking about, and exactly what you guys are saying. You know, reminds me of movies like Grandma's Boy, Dodgeball, like the classic Adam Sandler films and the like Seth Rogen films and stuff like that, where it was edgy, but it was it didn't have this wokeness, and it was funny, and it was for everybody. And, like, comedy could just be comedy. Dude with beard is actually freaking hilarious. Can't remember his name, but I've seen some of his stand-up and skits, and it's totally in this vein of comedy. Well, I am so down. So down. All right, let's dive back into this.
Was about just yet.
Yeah. You know, we're, as with Lady Ballers, we've got all kinds of things that we don't tell people. One of the things people have said
I had no idea until somebody mentioned it. I had no idea that they were working on anything.
To me all day today. In fact, one of the people here at your place said, "How did we not know about this?" I said, "Well, we went out of our way to make sure no one knew about it." As in particular with Lady Ballers, we knew that if people knew about it, there was a good chance they would find a way to stop us.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yep.
The whole time we were making the film, we were pseudonyms, and we called it Coach Miracle, and all of the written materials during the production. You just, everybody's out to stop the kind of work that we're doing, the kind of work that you're doing. So
it's what's fascinating to me is that we get hit up. Oh, hey, Jeremy would love to come by. We're like, we want to have Jeremy on the show. We get hit up. We see the trailer, Lady Ballers. And the day you come is the day we get the breaking news that Disney has admitted their politics are failing them. And I'm like, what perfect timing.
Perfect timing. And welcome to Melted Mind Media. Welcome to the party. Another awesome YouTuber. I just finally mailed off my old Stream Deck that he purchased months ago. But it is in the mail out of my hands. Welcome to the party, brother. Good to see ya.
What absolutely perfect timing.
it couldn't have worked out much better.
Right on. We also have Shane Cashman hanging out.
Hey, it's good to be here. Happy to be here with you, Jeremy. I write for scanner.com, and today I published, I think, one of the most important stories I'll probably ever publish, and it's about my weekend in Ohio catching depraved, demonic men who sought to harm children with Alex Rosen. So you can check that out at scnr.com once this episode is over. Thank you.
Yeah, I tweeted that one out, and I just want to say, what I'm hearing from this story that you've written, I've got people messaging me saying, dude, this is the best thing Shane has ever written. This is the most important thing.
Thank you.
And I'm going to put my girlfriend on the spot, but we had to do like a basic analysis, the legal groundwork, be like, okay, here's the story. And I got to put her on the spot. I walk in and she's crying. And I'm like, oh no, like something happened. I'm kind of worried. Like, why is she crying? And I ask her if something's wrong. She's like, no, nothing's wrong. And I'm like, well, you're crying. And she's like, I'm just reading Shane's article. And I was like, oh my God.
Melty, could you see on if you could find that article and see how long it is? I want to, if it's that crazy, let's see what's good. Shout out to Indyville. Welcome to the party. How are you doing, brother? Welcome. Gomlex said, notice how Jeremy Boring was stressed up like Jordan Peterson a lot through the trailer. I'm sure Jordan Peterson didn't want to be cast in a comedy, so they did the next best thing. Fair enough.
Being with these demons for a few hours and watching them say these things, I cried watching them get cuffed, because you're just like, it's like a release.
That's
after
wild.
Holding a straight face.
Yeah. I'm hoping that we could do a culture war episode with you guys, breaking all this stuff down.
I would love it.
Right on. We got Libby hanging out.
Hey, I'm hanging out. I'm Libby Emmons. I'm the editor-in-chief with the Post Millennial.
All right, shout out to Melted Mind Media. What is getting everybody in tears? The Demon Hunters. Oh, geez. 2 days in Ohio catching child. All right, well, first, let me see. All right, it says long. We're not going to go through the whole thing, but let's just get a little taste of what this is. So, disclaimer, as individuals in question have not been proven guilty in a court of law and are presumed innocent, names have been changed and identifying information was removed. It was noon on a cold Saturday in Ohio, and Henry the Demon was waiting for the little girl to appear in his yard. Her name was Sally, and Henry's been messaging her on Facebook since September. He was happy when she replied. He told her he loved her. He told her she dreams about making love to her, and he told her he wanted to impregnate her. Henry is nearly 60. Sally is 12. Yeah, you are. Yep, you are exactly right. That is going to be at the top of the discussion in the after party. Clearly, we're not going to get too deep into that, but shout out to Melted Mind Media for the assist. Thank you. All right, where were we here?
We got Libby hanging out.
Hey, I'm hanging out. I'm Libby Emmons. I'm the editor-in-chief with the Postmillennial and HumanEvents.com. Glad to be here. I haven't read Shane's story yet, but I hear it's not bedtime reading. So
It's not.
Yeah.
It's
It'll
not.
be bedtime reading for us.
It's tough. It's a tough read, but it's important, especially for parents to know about with how vulnerable children are on the internet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And of course, Serge is pressing the buttons.
Yes, I am indeed here. I'm ready to get into it when you guys are.
Let's jump into this.
He always seems like he's like not happy to be there. So he's like, yeah, I'm here.
This first story, you'll love to see it. From the Daily Mail, woke Disney admits misalignment between its movies and what viewers want is harming its bottom line after progressive Snow White reboot was pushed back for huge overhaul. I love the financial, legal, academic way of saying get woke, go broke.
Yeah, exactly.
We're misaligned. Okay, we have a phrase for that. Here's the gist of it. Disney has warned its investors that the company's products and political views may not align with what viewers want and risk harming its bottom line. In a public financial filing for the fiscal quarter ending in September, the corporation acknowledged the risks it is taking relating to misalignment with public and consumer tastes and preferences for entertainment. That's amazing.
I wonder how much of this is like really the Rachel Ziegler, the Snow White one. Not the where is it? Not the Daily Wire one, but the Disney one. I wonder if how much that really has to do, because it seems like people were willing to go along with it, and then it seemed like all of a sudden. But notice how I've been saying that's how it's going to happen. Everything, it's going to be there's going to be a tipping point where everybody's going along with it, and then it's just going to tip over and fall over. And I think we see that happening. Resting beach personality. Fair enough. Get wrecked. Hell yeah, it is happening, guys.
Disney has struggled as of late to successfully pitch its costly films to audiences, losing a reported $1 billion on its last 4 high-profile releases.
Damn.
And I don't know if I actually have, yes, I do have it pulled up, of course. Disney's Wish over Thanksgiving weekend was another major box office bomb.
Another Disney movie I just had no idea was coming out at all. Now, obviously, I'm not the main demographic for Disney movies, but it's Disney. It's Disney. How do you not, the idea that you could be an American who doesn't know about a Disney movie coming out, that would have been unheard of. Meltdown Media said they're remaking the Disney one to have the dwarves, but CGI. Go woke, go broke. Yep. M69 said it kept snowballing. They went further and further left. Yep. It had a the virtue signal aspect where the people who don't really care about these things, where they were talking it up, all the things they were doing, they're talking it up online. And so they have to, this becomes less and less true every day, but they have to realize that Twitter is not real life. And just because there's a bunch of people saying stuff on Twitter, that doesn't necessarily translate to who is going to pay money for this movie. It's not the same.
And I think everybody knows that movie's basically communist, right? Is that the general idea? Are you familiar with it, Jeremy?
Yeah. Basically, if there really was a God and if he was any good, he'd give us all everything we want.
Yeah, but only in this movie, it's a white man who has the power to grant everything you want and refuses. And
God, he's a white dude.
Yeah,
he's a white
the Sonic treatment. I mean that was good because I remember the original thing and it looked bad, and then I remember people being like, "Oh my God, you're making these people go back and do." I was like, I didn't design shit. I'm just giving you my opinion. And the Sonic movie did well. They have a second one now, right? So imagine if they never changed it and the Sonic movie didn't do well because of the design. Well, like I don't even remember why people were getting upset about that. Like we want to see you're animating it. These things are already animated. Just make it the same.
Dude, all right.
Yeah. It's a documentary.
Yeah. We're making
that's what it is.
Documentary.
Yeah. So the big news here is they pushed back Snow White, which shows not only are they admitting to their investors what we are doing is failing, they're taking corrective measures.
Well, obviously the entire sort of Team Reality right marshaled a lot of strength against, well, first with Bud Light, which I think is the greatest boycott that we've ever seen in the history of the right. I mean, we've never been very good at that sort of taking economic action.
Well, I mean, do you count the Boston Tea Party? Because I think that was a little bit more badass, but I'll give it to him.
Punitive economic action against anyone. And after Dylan Mulvaney, they laid the Bud Light low. But now with Disney, you saw the entire right wing really come out against them. And Daily Wire, I'm proud to say we took direct action. And on the 100th anniversary of Disney, back on October 16th, we announced the launch of our kids platform, Bent Key.
Yeah, shout out to Bent Key as well. They are just doing such a good job between these two gentlemen, Jeremy and Tim. They're doing so much to build culture. Tim has been saying create culture for years. But the fact that not only him, but Jeremy, the people are actually doing it. It's so good to see. I'm saying I've been waiting for the day Disney finally admit the defeat of the agenda for years now. They could only lose money for so long until the investors finally came down on them. Praise capitalism. Hell yeah, brother. I mean, let's cheers. Dilly to capitalism. Freedom.
Which is, of all the things we've ever built, this thing I'm the most proud of. We've got 18 series on there, 4 of them original, 2 of those, Chip Chilla, our first animated series, and A Wonderful Day with Mabel McClay, I think are both genuinely wonderful shows. I'm very proud to have played a role in bringing them to life. But
if any of you guys who have kids, if you are Daily Wire Plus members, or if Bent Key is a different thing, I would love to know, if the and I would assume, but I would love to know if the kids programming is like the programming when we were kids, that it was for kids very obviously, but you could go back and watch it, or you could watch it with your parents or your older brother or your cousin or whatever, and they would humor you in watching, but they would still be entertained. Whereas today, if you go to watch your little cousin or your nephews, it's just loud, there's nothing to follow, like all that stuff. I would love to know what the actual quality of it is. Melton My Media says it's probably better than Coco Melon. Probably. So he says marketing competition is finally taking effect. Oh well, crony capitalism is better than socialist communism, at least. I mean, can't argue with that. Cannot argue with that.
We also announced that we were going to make our own live action adaptation of the Grimm's fairy tale Snow White, and we were doing that in particular because Rachel Ziegler had been the Disney's new Snow White, had been so outspokenly against Snow White, the film that made Disney into the powerhouse that it is, the 1937 animated film.
It was made in like 1937, and pretty evidently so.
And she said things like, we're not going to make a movie like that. That movie had all kinds of problems. We're not going to make a movie where the prince saves the princess or any of this stuff. What's beautiful about that, well, what's awful about it, obviously, is that she's saying that the actual company for whom she works, a company with the most brand loyalty of any company maybe in all of history, is somehow poorly founded, somehow had bad values.
Yeah,
she's far, far better of a person than Walt Disney was.
Yeah, right? What did he know? Walt Disney? Walt who?
But what's beautiful now is, if you look at what Disney's going to do with the film, you said it, almost less than 2 weeks later, they completely changed course on their adaptation. They are now going to make a more faithful adaptation, and Rachel Ziegler has to actually be in the movie that she hates.
I'm just imagining.
That's a great. I never even thought of that she's out here. Yeah, we're gonna do it a little bit better. Are you though? And then we had our running poll. Do you trust Jeremy Boring? And a solid 50% of you said yes, and we had 30% of you didn't even know who he was. So that is a pretty strong showing for Jeremy Boring. As my said, from the website, it looks like PBS Kids type stuff. Okay, so probably not the kind of thing where you're gonna really enjoy it that much watching with your kids, but certainly, you'd be happier that your kids are watching that than any kind of woke BS. Melty goes on to say, looks like it's its own thing, and it's $99 a year. Fair enough. So he said classical Saturday morning cartoons were entertaining for all ages. PBS Kids numbs brain cells. Okay, all right, a little bit of a not quite Indian spicy, but a spicy take. That because that was always the education. It's supposed to be educational. A little bit. What's weird?
Imagining When you're talking about this, you're making the Snow White. I'm imagining that you're driving this little buggy behind these semis that are gold is pouring off the back, and you're just picking it up and you're like, well, whatever, I might as well take this. Oh, they threw that out. I'll take this one too. If they want to abandon their most valuable IP and the things that made them valuable, I see in so many ways with like Jeremy's razors, for instance, and Jeremy's chocolate. You're like, well, if you don't want it, I guess I'll take it.
Yeah.
And now here's the Daily Wire exploding in popularity because they're just giving away this value, abandoning it.
I mean, I'm just a lowly shampoo mogul, but I came by it honest. They
shampoo mogul, media mogul, razor mogul, chocolate mogul, media mogul. It's just about doing the thing. Just do the thing.
If they don't want the business, to your point, we're going to make the business. And someone asked me, what will you do if Disney manages to course correct here? First of all, I don't think they can. I don't think that Disney. I think they know that something is amiss.
Does anybody disagree? Does anybody disagree that Disney can't course correct? So do you put a 1 in the chat if you think that Disney can course correct? Weird. Yeah, gotcha.
I don't think that they can identify the difference between the parts of their views that are so radical that the public is rejecting them and the parts of their views that aren't, because they live in a bubble within a bubble within a bubble within a bubble. People who've worked for Disney have told us, Disney has basically fired everyone over the last 5 to 7 years who didn't toe that party line. There's no one left over there who would know how to do this if they were paid to.
Yeah, exactly, Zippy. So what Jeremy was just saying, pretty much what Zippy was saying is like they can, but will they? And Jeremy takes it a step further and it's like, well, even if they wanted to, they couldn't, because there's no people there who are not in a bubble within a bubble within a bubble. It's not just the leftist bubble. It's not just the California bubble. It's not just the LA bubble. It's within the Hollywood bubble, and it's probably another layer there as well. Contact said a 1, but it'll take about 5 years to gain trust back. It depends on what you mean, because like if they decided to like just completely flip the script and go full like conservative, like based as fuck, like all that kind of stuff today, we wouldn't get the first based Disney movie for at least 2 years. So are you saying like, it would take years of, they're working on this. Okay, let's see. And then their first thing we're not expecting base, but like, okay, their first thing that's not supposed to be super woke. Let's see what it is. Okay, it wasn't good. A little bit here. Then the next one, they're like, a little bit more. Because 5 years is, I'd say closer to 10. M169 agrees with Zippy. So they don't want to. Well, they didn't want to, but finally, they are turning it around. So he said the executives only think in terms of shareholders. It will take years for the executive dinos, the dino brains, to change anything. Yeah, well, I mean, it has taken years. That's exactly the point. Is that like Glomtech specifically said it? Where is it? He's been waiting for years now, and so it did take them years. And finally, they've figured out, this ain't working. People on Twitter like it, but the people who give us money don't like it.
But if they do manage to course correct, and if it costs me my business, I'll be like Elliot Ness at the end of The Untouchables. I'll go have a drink.
Yeah, just be like, hell yeah. First of all, he has got 1 billion other companies that he's starting. There's 1 billion other woke areas. And if you would have to be the kind of person who would rather get rich than fix, sacrifice money to fix, not just say, pay taxes and hopefully, no, but to fix society like that. And nobody is obligated to want to give their own personal money to fix society. But what he's saying is that would be good. I would rather fail and let Disney succeed if that means a better society.
Like we won.
It would be far better for our culture. It'd be far better for Western civilization for Disney to become Disney again than it would be for Bentkey to spend the next 100 years becoming Disney.
Yeah. Yeah, the way I see it is
exactly.
If I woke up tomorrow and Disney was making good family-friendly content, crime was going way down, the Democrats apologized to Trump, all of these things turned around, I wouldn't know what to even do. I'd probably just sitting here talking about UFOs or something, and then I'd go skateboarding, and I'd be like, I don't need to do anything.
Well, those would be good shows too.
I would just sit at home with my thousands and thousands and thousands of unsold bottles of shampoo.
What are you going to do?
I would smell great and have nothing to do.
Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. In case the world actually does turn around, I will still be here. There is still work to be done. There's still going to be dumb people. There's still going to be stuff for us to talk about. Let's course correct and give us live action 90s X-Men, the animated series. Then they'll make money. They already are. They already are doing that. X-Men 97 is supposed to come out, what, next year? Or the year after? But they already have that in the pipe. In the pipe. I mean, I'm not super excited about the notion of going back to the well again, but if we're in that stage where we're just gonna pick stuff from the past, 90s X-Men is the place to go.
I feel like, yeah, the way you describe it is, I'd probably much rather have solved these problems and then retire off into the sunset and relax and hang out, get a nice brick oven, grill some burgers and hang out with your friends and have a beer. But instead, I wake up every day.
I sure as shit hope not. I mean, maybe before they put it in writing that they were like, okay, we are aware that the wokeness is not working. Maybe 2 days ago, I would have probably expected that that's what X-Men 97 was going to be. But now seeing that that's what they're doing, specifically going to the X-Men in terms of MCU stuff, where they know it was successful, and then we've already seen them trying to introduce like the mutants and stuff in a way that we are going to remember it from the comics. We have the yellow hover chair. We had the in the Miss Marvel thing, and Deadpool 3 has Wolverine in his yellow suit and everything. So I think the course correction has happened. I think it's going to take a while for us to see it, but I think I would be very surprised if X-Men 97 was trash and woke. One or the other, it probably will be. But if it's both, I don't think so. As if you said, I like First Class more than the rest. Oh my God. I mean, I don't know. Anybody else agree that First Class was the worst X-Men film?
And I am deeply concerned about what's going to happen in this country should we decide to walk away from the culture war.
Can I take a minute to talk about Mary Poppins?
No.
My favorite movie of all time, and something I wanted my children to see. One of the first movies they saw. And how Disney now is the product or the victim of rotten creativity. They've killed ingenuity. And I think of what Walt did with Mary Poppins and the way he built the animatronic birds and all these beautiful things. And the meaning of that first movie, the original one, is about a guy who loses his job. He's having a hard time at home. The kids are missing his dad. Then he got to bring the family together through the beauty of imagination. And then after all that, he gets his job back, right? In the new Mary Poppins that they remade, or it's like the second one, it was my first hint at Disney inverting those like meanings that are deep, important to me, because I went to go see it without my kids because I want to check it out first. I also love Mary Poppins.
Smart. They made a new Mary Poppins? Like new as when's the Mary Poppins 64 in 2018. Jesus. Emily Blunt. Look at that. I had no idea. I mean, now that I'm looking at this, I do think I remember. But yeah, damn. What did I miss here? Except for God's sake, just give me a Wolverine that stays under 5'5". That's what I'm saying. Representation. What happened to representation? We're not talking. You don't have to be a midget to need, or excuse me, a little person to need to want representation. Okay, short guys, short kings, excuse me, need representation as well. Zubi said, X-Men Apocalypse or Dark Phoenix is far worse than First Class. Dark Phoenix was pretty bad. I don't know. All right. You originally said it was not that bad. So I'll stick with that. I think that's a good place to connect. Melody said if Rogue becomes like Captain Marvel and becomes super woke and unlikable, it would be at least like the comics when she steals her powers. Deadpool is the best X-Men movie, you idiots. Yeah. That's a technicality. Yeah, you're right. Deadpool 2 was, I mean, it was all right.
It's crazy.
It was forgettable because I realized at the end of the movie that I was apparently watching the second time. It was at the end of the movie. I was like, wait, I've definitely seen this. Because, all the time travel stuff is hard to forget. But it was just very generic, I guess.
You didn't want to cry in front of them.
I didn't want to go. I cried because it was so bad because they inverted the meaning in the end. In the end, the father gets his job back. He's happy and then finds value in imagination with his children.
That's totally different.
Which is completely opposite of how it should be.
Yeah.
So that was for me when I first started to realize this is just rotten from the core.
Yeah, and smart move going to, as a parent, to go see the movie by yourself before, or maybe not necessarily by yourself, but without the kids before you bring the kids. Shout out to Mike W in the building. Welcome to the party. So we're losing our irreverence, and I don't think that's good. I agree. Irreverence. That's a good word. I need a definition for that one. Because I know usually like irreverent comedy, but it's a lack of respect for people or things that are generally taken seriously. There we go. Good word, Mike. Good word. And I completely agree. I don't think it's a good thing. I think the ability to understand where we can make fun of each other, where we can make fun of ourselves, where we're not perfect and we don't have to pretend that we are perfect or that anybody is perfect. Like I'm right there with you. Welcome to the party. Coming in hot with a comment like that. So we said Deadpool, get out of here. There's no way you could make the argument that Deadpool is better than Infinity War. That is not a thing. No. Yeah, right? Like, $2, you can tell me the plot of Deadpool 2 without looking it up. Okay, so what had happened was, so you got Deadpool, right? And I remember he was like a baby, or maybe that was the first one. I don't remember. I have no idea.
It is Disney. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can fact check me and check this out real time. When was the sale of Marvel to Disney?
Not that long ago, right?
Right, it was within a few years.
It was
no, I think it was like that was Marvel to Disney was like early on in the MCU. I think there was obviously Hulk. Then I think it was the first three. I don't know where I'm getting that, but that's what I'm thinking.
It was in 2009.
2009. Yeah. Okay. So Iron Man was 2008. So Hulk and Iron Man were 2008, I believe, right? And then I think Thor was next. I think that was 2009. So he's right in the beginning. Nick Fury. What? What is that from? Why do I know what that is? Nick Fury. Ooh, what's everyone's favorite Disney Marvel movie? I always stick with Captain America, the first Avenger. You got a little dude he's not even strong enough. He's so scrawny, he can't even get into the army. And he dives on the grenade and he becomes the man. Like Captain America, Winter Soldier. That's a lot of people. A lot of people like Winter Soldier as their favorite Captain America movie. I say first Avenger, then Civil War, then Winter Soldier. No, obviously I know Nick Fury, but like this is the thing. Where did this come from? Like where have I heard this before? Is it like a meme or like were you just saying it or I don't know. Yeah, I mean, all of the Captain America ones are amazing. Yes, Doctor Strange, the first one, is on point. I was tripping the first time I seen that. That was fun. But of course, I mean, Infinity War it has everything. It has everything. And I mean, they could have if they took out the Captain Marvel thing from Endgame, then that whole thing would have been perfect. But anyway, let's not get too far into Disney.
9 is when that happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
they bought Marvel
years.
for $4 million.
$4 billion.
Billion. Yeah, sorry.
So then my point was incorrect. So I'll set that one aside. When I look at
don't let that stop you.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Anyway.
I was going to make a point, but I wanted to make sure I was correct in my timeline. But I believe my timeline was wrong. My point I was going to make was where Disney is now with the Marvel movies versus where they were with the original Marvel movies.
Right.
So the comparison I like to make often is Captain America versus Captain Marvel, and why Captain Marvel bombs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the first one I think did decent,
Right.
and then the last one was their worst ever. And why Captain America helped create the MCU and this big movie empire. Captain America is a scrawny, weak man who desperately wants to fight for his country, so much so that he's trying to lie to trick his way into the army.
Mm-hmm.
And
Based.
and then they have that scene where it's Jack Nicholson's character. Oh no, it's Tommy Lee, not Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want this scrawny guy. I want strong guys. And he throws the fake grenade. And then it's the scrawny, weak Steve Rogers who jumps on the grenade to save everybody else. Amazing scene. What is the ending of Captain Marvel? She was a woman who always had the power, but a man was keeping her down and kept telling her to check her emotions. It's a caricature of what feminists think being a woman is.
Well, that's what.
And so those of you who are more in line with the actual comics, it has to be very different. The Captain Marvel Brie Larson that we have has to be very different from the Captain Marvel from the comics. Like I mean, obviously I know that they swapped it, but still. Shout out to Dewberry, welcome to the party. Said Captain Marvel sucks because the writing is bad, not because it's woke. Absolutely. Well said. I think so many people just go off and assume that if you don't like Captain Marvel, that you're sexist, you're misogynist, you're this, that. You're like, oh, you're just going along with those people. It's like, bro, no, it's a shitty movie. It's a shitty character. There's no arc. There's no story. It's just girl is amazing, but the man's keeping her down, and then the man doesn't keeping her down, and now she gets to be her full girl boss self. Nobody cares.
What happened in Snow White as well. And you had Rachel Ziegler talking repeatedly about how the new story was going to be about how Snow White became a powerful figure just like her father always wanted. And I remember she said that, and I was like, oh, we're going to cover this for Post Millennial. Let me dig back and see what happened. That's not in the Grimm's fairy tale. It's not in the original Snow White.
Fierce, fair, brave, and true, I think is what she said.
But she also was talking about the father and doing all this stuff, and the father doesn't appear anywhere. But the other thing, too, is that basically what Disney did was give Snow White the Wicked Queen's plot. The Wicked Queen is the one who goes after power. She's the one.
So as they're kind of talking about the Wicked Queen, yeah, I completely agree, Guamtech, that Captain Marvel was better when Carol Danvers was Miss Marvel. She was at least a C-list hero, but everyone respected her. And I think that there needs to be layers to a universe like this. There needs to be layers. You need to have your main people, then your side characters, and then, like you're saying, your C-list people that fill out the universe. And then on the other side, it has to be the same thing as well. And like the movie just didn't do it. Just didn't do it. And this is exactly the same kind of thing that she's about to talk about.
Appear anywhere. But the other thing, too, is that basically what Disney did was give Snow White the Wicked Queen's plot. The Wicked Queen is the one who goes after power. She's the one who is driven by avarice and jealousy. And they gave that to Snow White. They made two villains in that story. They obliterated the heroine, and they told little girls love and kindness and caring for other people. That's not what you should strive after.
That's bad. You are weak. And you are a loser. If you are anything feminine. Most of my media said, let's not talk about Disney. It goes back to a video and they're talking about Disney. No, I said, let's not get lost in Marvel. All right. Run back the tape. I knew they were talking about Disney. Gontek says she was the one rogue got her super. She was the one rogue, got her super strength and flight from after straining her too long. Fair enough.
Or what you should strive after is to be, a bitchy, evil queen.
Right. A girl boss.
A girl boss.
A girl boss.
And everybody knows that after we see them all on TikTok, those girl bosses, they're miserable.
Also, beauty. Let's don't leave out beauty. Snow White is fundamentally about beauty. And one of the
this is the kind of thing that makes me respect Jeremy, is that you would think that this is definitely a true statement about the notion of beauty, but knowing that, like, hey, this is just as much a part of the story, the original story, the not just the feminine aspect, but the visual beauty that was a part of the story being told, and that beauty in and of itself is something that people should subscribe to. You should want to be beautiful as you can be. You should want to create beauty in whatever way you can. But everything is amazing takes away that notion, and it demonizes beauty. Yeah, I mean, talking about demonizing beauty, god damn.
Things that's challenging, one of the things Ziegler said is, it's not 1939 anymore. And it's true. Snow White wasn't written in 1939. It's an ancient fairy tale. It was preserved by the Brothers Grimm, but it probably goes back hundreds of years, even before the Grimm writing. And what is it?
Well, it sounds like he's about to say this. I did listen to this in the car at 2.7, but I was driving and I didn't forget the whole thing. So I have a good idea of what is going on, but if I just say something and then it comes up, I'm letting you know that I did hear it, but I don't remember it, so I'm not trying to make myself seem cool. But the idea that these fairy tales, these old stories, are timeless because of what the story is. The fact that anyone would think to redo the movie in the first place is because the original was loved by people. Like, why would you think that we're going to choose this movie to remake? But everybody hates it, so let's change it.
What is the sort of timeless truth that allowed that story to be older than our country? Much, much older than our country. And I think that what the fairy tale is actually about is something that it's so foreign to us because we live in a world where we can't talk about reality at all. And we haven't been able to talk about reality forever. But there is in the original writing, it's not even a stepmother. It's actually her mother.
Oh, wow.
And even the Grimm version changed that between their original publication and their later publications because it just felt too harsh. But that is, but the
So Snow White would be I always mix up Cinderella and Snow White. So Snow White was because I always think about the evil stepmother, and then I think about the ball. Did Cinderella have the evil stepmother as well? Is that where I get them confused? I don't know.
The ancient fairy tale is the mother, and what the story is about is the very common phenomenon that every parent feels, that over time your children replace you. And so the mother gained notoriety or attention or security through her beauty. Mm-hmm. And now her daughter possesses more beauty than she.
Now her daughter possesses more beauty than she. That's Kevin Hart could have played Grumpy. Yo, that would be lit. I would definitely go see that movie. If they had live action, different race dwarves. I mean, I'm down with that. Kevin Hart is a killer. Mike said, who wanted to kill Snow White? It wasn't a man. It was another woman jealous of her beauty. How fitting. How fitting. Exactly what he is saying right at this moment.
Through her beauty. And now her daughter possesses more beauty than she. And, if you have a son, I don't, but if you're the father of a son, it's a very common thing that people don't talk much about. When your son brings home the beautiful girl for prom when he's 17, the father feels some pride, sure. But he also feels some despair because until now, he's been the one that women look to.
Wow. I'd never heard that before. I don't think we have any men with grown boys, do we? That's very interesting. Very, very interesting.
And now the son is, and it's a common tragedy in life, but it's a beautiful tragedy that over time our children replace us. And in our generation where we live now, we won't even have kids for fear of missing out on any piece of life. The idea that we could be replaced by our kids, that part of our job is to take all of our, not values, although that too, but our value and impart that value into the future by creating replacements for ourselves. That's what Snow White is about.
Beautifully said. This is the kind of thing that makes me want to or feel like I can trust somebody like him. That he's not just spitting out talking points. He's thinking about this in a much deeper way. And even though it's just Snow White, it's just another Disney movie. You can make it matter. The things that you think don't matter, you can make them matter by just caring. Shout out to Stephanie Miller. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. Said exactly. Women do more damage to each other than men ever will. I said shit. Dilly to that. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. We're casting the dwarves. Mike Myers? Maybe Dopey, but yeah, it's all CG except their faces. And so we have actors there, but they still look like dwarves. That would be funny. That would be irreverent, you know?
I just got to say, I don't have kids, but to anybody who has that feeling, when your son finally beats you at basketball or football, that should be one of the greatest moments of your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That is you winning. That is you winning right now.
Right.
Yeah, and that it on a like such a small scale. What he's saying, that is you winning. That is you winning. That is your genetic code having been replicated properly, and you have done the proper parenting to lead your son or daughter, whatever the case may be, to be where they are. That is you. That is you.
And when you see your kids succeed, that is you succeeding. Your whole
really
mission.
Is. The other thing, too, that happens when you have kids, at a certain point in your life, there's more life behind you than there is ahead of you. And you can get lost in memories and looking back. But if you have a child, then you can see so far into the future. It's absolutely spectacular. You can see, you can think about their future and their children's future.
Yep.
You know, my son is already tired of me saying, don't forget to give mommy some grandbabies. Yeah.
I typically, most of the time when somebody's talking about something and they take the position of, you can't possibly know unless you're there or unless you've experienced it. I don't like that. I don't like how people use that, because a lot of times it's meant to be a conversation stopper where like maybe I or somebody else is trying to find out more about this experience that you've had or this knowledge that you've uncovered, and you just try to shut it down because you're kind of getting into a corner where you can't articulate it. Not that it's not even true, but that you can't articulate it. And but there are definitely certain things that you had to be there. Like, I mean, you will never ever be able to articulate what LSD does to your brain, or like just the experience that you have when you're not, you can't explain that to somebody who's never been in those shoes. And I think having kids is one of those other things that really does seem like it works that way.
I gotta pull this one up. Let's go in depth on the Snow White thing. So this is a story from earlier in the year. Snow White and the 7 politically correct companions, and I think it's fair to say. So let's go through the timeline. Here's a photo, exclusive
ridiculous.
picture.
What are we looking at? What is it? What is it? Look at it! Look at it! Why? Who thought this was a good idea? Who thought this was a good idea? This is where this is your brain on this is your brain on Zibby. This is the level of, you know, bubble within a bubble within a bubble within a bubble. That this went through so many different people. This came across at least 10 different people's desks. And everybody's like, "Yep, sounds good. People will love it." Come on. Another media said, "Okay, there's a joke here about different raced dwarves and an Indian YouTuber, but it was just your birthday, so I'll lay off." Nope. Bring it. What you got?
Pictures of Snow White's 7 companions. One is a little person, because I guess dwarf is offensive, even though dwarf was the mythical dwarfs who are made from stone, crafted from the mud of mountains or whatever. Yep. They decided that was an insult towards little people.
Who's Kathleen Kennedy?
But this, I think, is specifically because when they announced they're making the movie, Peter Dinklage complained.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that? Like, can you imagine if the first black actress or actor got rich and famous from being an actor and then said it was offensive for black people to be portrayed as black people on TV. That's exactly one-to-one the situation with Peter Dinklage. If you're not familiar, the dwarf guy who's everything in everything, Game of Thrones, Thor, that guy.
Yeah, that's right.
They probably behind the scenes were like, okay, if we do
Everyone in the chat, if you haven't heard what he said, because I think that's worth pulling up.
this, are we going to get yelled at? Okay, let's not do this. So they released this photo. So
yeah, the most famous dwarf actor says that it's insulting to hire dwarf actors.
He's the only one who wants to have a job. He doesn't want anyone else to have a job.
On it.
So I want to make sure everybody sees this timeline from the Daily Wire on October 16th.
October 16th. That's where we left off. Melder Miami said, what the hell is... there is no point in a woman dwarf. They come from the ground, not the puss. Emma Sagana said, yes, he did. He fucked over all other little people actors. Exactly. Mike said, in the past, we've always wanted our kids to do better than us, but it seems like now they're worse off. Yeah, there is definitely a, boomer parents. There's definitely a thing with boomer parents with millennial kids where it's not working out the way it's supposed to. It's not working out the way it's supposed to. All right, so I'll put it up. It's a short thing. Oh, Melted Mind Media coming through for your boy.
You're progressive in one way.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Melted Mind Media. So, if you're not familiar, Peter Dinklage, he's like I said, been in Game of Thrones. He was in the Thor movie, all that good stuff. Hey, shout out to Opus. Welcome to the party. He's vying for a spot as one of the dwarves and got rejected. This is what he said.
You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that fucking backward story of 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man?
Peter Dinklage isn't feeling Disney's upcoming live-action remake of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs.
Yeah, what do you mean, Game of Thrones ? Like, he was like the main guy. Not the main guy. What was his name? Tyrion. Tyrion? Yeah, Tyrion. Yeah, Elf as well. Yep.
There's a lot of hypocrisy going on, I gotta say.
Dilly. Rejection. There's a lot of hypocrisy going on. You think, bro? You think?
Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs.
There's a lot of hypocrisy going on, I gotta say, from being somebody who's a little bit unique.
I bet he's gonna say a little person. Tell me you didn't think that's what he was gonna say. Tell me that's what you didn't think he was gonna say.
Somebody who's a little
person,
bit unique.
The Game of Thrones star, who has a form of dwarfism, slammed Disney during an interview on Mark Maron's WTF podcast.
Yeah, exactly. It was classic pulling up the ladder behind you. Typical boomer.
Saying that while he thinks the studio took one step forward casting the lead, they took 2 giant steps backward
by not casting me,
perpetuating old stereotypes.
I was a little taken back by the they were very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White.
Yeah.
But you're still telling the story of Snow White,
yeah.
7 Dwarfs.
Sure.
So take a step back and look at what you're doing there. It makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that fucking backward story of 7 Dwarfs.
Even Mark Maron was like, "Wait, what's the issue here? What are we talking about?" Listen,
take a step.
Yeah.
But you're still telling the story of Snow White,
yeah.
7 Dwarfs.
Sure.
So take a step back and look at what you're doing there. It makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that fucking backward story of.
Oh, that's what you mean. Yeah, I had no idea what the fuck you're talking about. What do you mean, bro? What do you mean? You good. Good Lord, Hollywood is so cutthroat. Indeed.
7 dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man?
Following Peter's remarks, a spokesperson for Disney told ET in a statement, quote, "To avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film, we are taking a different approach with these 7 characters and have been consulting with members of the dwarfism community. We look forward to sharing more as the film heads into production after a lengthy development period."
Yikes. Yikes. So yeah, that is a famous dwarf actor who is famous for acting as a dwarf. Let's throw a like on that video, as we should on any video that we watch, eh? Not only is he famous for being an actor who is a dwarf, playing a dwarf, he doesn't want anybody else to be able to do it. In the name of wokeness. In the name of wokeness.
So I want to make sure everybody sees this timeline. From the Daily Wire on October 16th, Daily Wire announces live-action Snow White and the Evil Queen, starring YouTube sensation Brett Cooper. The bombshell announcement comes alongside the release of the company's kids streaming at Bentkey. And then we have this. October 28th, from InsideTheMagic.net, Disney whitewashes Snow White after diverse casting backlash, CGI caught by fans. So only about a couple weeks later, they release this photo.
What are those? What are those? What are you doing? Why would you then make why would you then make them all white? Like, you're hearing from the woke crowd about a diversity thing. So you go, exactly. And you go less woke? And I mean, what? Yeah, yeah. Brett is the titular character in Bentkey's version of Snow White. Yeah, exactly. Little people need work too. And not only that, but there are stories to be told like this that have dwarves in them. And like there's you know, they're hoping for the Sonic bump. Well, maybe. I don't know. Open said they made such a bad live action adaptation. They had to reanimate it. Oh, I think we got a comment of the night. Comment of the night. They made such a bad live action replay. They had to reanimate it. Dilly to that. All right, let's see if anybody can beat out Opus for the comment of the night. Good one. Excuse me. Sippy said Hollywood is run by gambling addict executives who are grooming their adopted drug addict kids. Hasburg Empire intensifies.
Of Rachel Ziegler wearing the traditional dress, surrounded by CGI white dwarfs.
So whitewashed.
I think that was you guys. I think you said this earlier.
Yeah, I think that we certainly played an outsized role. Obviously, there was a lot of backlash beyond just us, but we took very direct action. We put our money on the line to directly challenge them. And, you know,
sure, okay, maybe it's the Daily Wire that put pressure on Disney to change to change what people were lashing back at. But what does it have to do with the Daily Wire to make them all white? Which, again, is not an issue for me, but clearly is going to be an issue with other people. Now, if you had an all-white dwarves to begin with, then it wouldn't have mattered. But now you made a bunch of dwarves that people saw that were different colors and races and genders, and you made them all white men. What did you think? What did you think the woke crowd would think about turning? I don't get it. I do not get it. So he says it is Snow White and the 7 dwarves, not Snow White and the 7 weird misfits.
2 weeks is the speed of light for a corporation the size of Disney. And you can just look at this CGI photo that they released. It's so below the quality standards of Disney, who are the greatest animators, you know, in all of human history. They obviously rushed this thing out. This is crisis management, and I think that we, if we weren't the entire crisis, I think that we were the most acute part of the crisis for them at that time.
I have an idea. All right, let's see if we can get a better Snow White and the 7 dwarves. Snow White. Oh, come on. White and the 7 dwarves. dwarves. Let's just do that. Let's see what that. Let's see what that does. Let's see what this does. While that is going, they're turning the fucking dwarves white in the Allenger. They're turning the fucking dwarves white. M69 said, the all white dwarves is on Disney. They made that choice. Yeah, clearly, but I don't know why. What are you? This guy. Can I? Does it work? No, it doesn't work like that. All right, let's see. Let's see. I think we got a winner here, and what does this say? Join the Discord. I think that's a good idea. So let's go with 4. Come on. I mean, tell me. Oh, that's not the right screen. Tell me that is not a at least comparable thing to this. It's at least comparable, and I'm just sitting here doing a show with you guys right now. The first prompt. Obviously, I could do more, more specific things, but I think the point has been made. Guamtech said Disney could literally had just put out a new story and said it was inspired by Snow White before all the new CGI stuff, and it might have worked. Exactly. Why are you trying so hard to tell new stories? I know why. Because obviously a new story is, they think, is going to be like, oh, well, we're not going to get the attachment from everybody who knows Snow White already. But at this point, Must be United said yours looks better. Well, thank you. At this point, it would be more of a PR move to just have a new story that's inspired by one of the old stories than to just reboot one. You're spot on. Gnomes indeed are not dwarves. Looks like a video game from 2010. Not bad. Yep. Mike saying acting is all about pretending to be somebody you aren't. If a straight guy wants to play a gay guy, that's called acting. It's not called taking a role away from somebody. Exactly. Completely agree. I mean, just real quick, let that sear onto the back of your retinas. Jesus Christ.
I think it's the announcement of your Snow White that made them say, oh no. The previous segment, we're talking about how Disney is admitting to their shareholders. This is from the end of their quarter 3 and in September. So this is a month before you guys announced. They are outright telling their shareholders, we are losing money because of a misalignment between the content and the culture we make and what the public actually wants.
Yep.
That's in the end of September. They know this.
Yeah.
In October, you announce, and I guarantee there's someone at Disney being like, what happens when Disney's Snow White bombs and Daily Wire's Snow White breaks records? That is going to be the Disney brand falling into the toilet.
They're going to try taking their writers because Disney has no substance or stories with any meaning at all. And that's why people aren't.
Well, they do, but not in the last century.
Connecting with it.
They're going to screw this up too.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Well, what they'll do with this, I think that the photo sort of speaks to this, is it will just be a beat for beat retelling of the 37 film.
Right.
Which again, as he noted before, is hilarious that Rachel Ziegler went out like, oh, it's 1930s. It's not 1937 anymore. And now she has to do the 1937 movie.
Can they screw that up? Sure. But good thing they have going for them. It will be hard to screw up because they have one of the great animated films of all time to model it after.
That's true. But I think they're going to screw it up.
Yeah.
I think
they'll slip things in.
Yeah, exactly. Shane just said they're going to slip things in. They're going to try to appeal to this BS because remember, this was already in production. So the article that we read of them saying, oh, a misalignment in values, that was only from today or yesterday, and so that's from the before time. So maybe the newer stuff is going to be back on track, but this certainly is not. Mike said this could go both ways. Why don't we remake Good Times with all white actors? Not saying I want to, just being facetious. I like that. That would be Indian spicy. Although, I mean, he said, what other properties should the Daily Wire do that are free use? I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know, but it is a good question. Definitely, you know, I mean, I'm sure they're on it. Whatever they got, I'm sure they're on it. 169 said, if Disney wants new stories not based in European culture, there are other fables throughout the world. Notice they didn't look beyond Europe. Good point. Good point. Yeah. I don't know. Good question.
So if you take a look at the Marvels, if the Marvel movies plan after Robert Downey,
he is not good with warning for spoilers. So I have not seen the Marvels. If you care what's going on, just be aware that he might spoil it.
Jr. was Brie Larson would take over as the central figure, with Captain Marvel replacing Iron Man as the centerpiece. But she was so despised in the press for being this woke, angry leftist. And to be fair, it's not just wokeness. She really did not mesh well with the other actors.
Yeah, have you guys seen the compilations of interviews that Brie Larson had to do with the other Marvel actors? And just like they all hate her. They're like a big family. They all love each other. They're all joking around, and they all hate her. It's so weird how you could be that unlikable as a person. I mean, we'll just take a little Brie Larson, let's say group interview of Avengers. Not feeling. Okay.
Is there any competition between the different sects and groups?
There's no competition for me because I'm the strongest, so it's just kind of like a different.
Well, you should let her think that, but
it's not. As I've said before, it's just a fact. It's not a personal opinion, and it's not a reflection on what you can't do, but it is also kind of a reflection on all the.
It's just that you're just not that strong. But she's really smart.
Exactly. The I'm uncomfortable part. When you see, if you see other interviews, when a bunch of the big actors, they're joking around together. They're in on the joke. They're having fun. You can tell that this is.
And but should we have a fight?
And she can eat bacon.
I feel like we're fighting right now. I think it's been an all day thing.
Covering. And she eats bacon.
Oh, like nobody's business.
A lot.
You play Thor over the cinematic.
Wait. I want to see different actors. They're all gonna. Okay, all right.
Universe many times. What was exciting about playing this version of Thor in Endgame?
Well, it was.
I wish my button actually sounded like that.
Each time I've always wanted to do something different, and Thor Ragnarok was, for me, the biggest sort of shift. Kind of.
I did. You don't remember how we met?
I do. I thought you.
How did we meet?
Oh shit! At dinner?
No.
Yes, we did.
Clearly, it made an impression on me, but somebody else didn't care.
We had dinner on New Year's Eve.
We worked together.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
It's true.
Yeah, it was bad.
I did.
Yikes! So I mean, you get the point. She just makes herself very. Hey, look, it's me. She makes herself very unlikable, like very easily. What's going on? Tech saying Disney get their shit together. Monkey King adaptation would be awesome. Current Disney would just make him a woman and say she was the first trans protagonist. Yep. Don't we know it? I've said they're being paid thousands of dollars, and you can see in their face. Oh, it's way more than thousands. It's millions, and you can see in their faces that it still isn't enough to be around her. Yep. I mean, she's that much of a person. You know what I mean? Chris literally says that she successfully came in and stole the torch from them in this interview. It's kind of buried, but he said it. I mean, you ain't wrong, right? Oh, but so Disney is dead. Even Iger admits that they fired all the real talent and only activists are left. Yep. Zippy the Strange. Brie is a want-aunt who is never sober. Ooh. That's a good one. I don't know if it's strong enough to knock out the Comment of the Night spot, but that is a good one. I will definitely drink to that. Good one.
Ziegler is doing the same thing. She is coming out snooty, snide, condescending, arrogant, and overly woke. I think that's going to cause them problems for this film. I think you're right, they're going to do a shot-for-shot remake, but they're going to have PR problems because of her.
Well, I think they've had another problem. You look at this photo of her.
Well, think about the type of person who cares enough about Snow White in this way. It's going to be either parents who are not politically, engaged, but see like, wait, what's going on here? And then people who are, into politics, and they see this as a political battle, and they don't really care about the movie itself. They care about, the cultural aspect. And so I don't think that shit, I just fucking lost it. What did you say?
I think that's going to cause problems because of her.
Well, I think they've had another problem. You look at this photo of her with the CGI dwarves, and the question.
God damn it! I forgot what I was going to say. What he just said? This is going to cause problems with her. I lost it. Sorry. Oba said Ziegler looks look likable, to be honest. Yup. That comparison. Absolutely. Zimmy said even worse. Brie is a sloppy drunk and just mean and evil when sober. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice.
Cause them problems for this film. I think you're right, they're going to do a shot-for-shot remake, but they're going to have PR problems because of her.
Well, I think they've had another problem. You look at this photo of her with the CGI dwarves, and the question that I have is,
I remember what I was going to say. So, saying that there's going to be other problems. There's going to be a lot of people who otherwise would have taken their kids to go see Snow White, but have already made the decision that they're not going to because of Rachel Ziegler. So it's not just the content of the movie. It's now become a political, cultural thing where it's on principle. I don't care how good it is. I'm not showing that to my kids. I'm not giving them money. Ezra Miller look good. God damn. Zippy said, I mean, Brie is either dumb and out of her depth or evil. Or both, possibly.
Is she even in this photo? Did they do a photo shoot? Yeah,
right.
She is a living, breathing human, and sure, there's a lot at stake.
Is she though? Just kidding.
Do we know that for sure?
At pissing off Disney, but
hey, shout out to Basil the Pumpkin Seagull. Welcome to the party, brother. Good to see ya. Brie is just an angry feminist. Ziegler is also, but 3 times worse. Yeah, let's see what happens when you put a microphone in front of a feminist. People lose money. So now they all just lack self-awareness, cultural maturity, and intelligence. Yup.
How are they going to get her to keep her mouth shut about this? They haven't been able to get her to shut her mouth up until now.
They've replaced the faces of actors before on movies, haven't they? When someone like messes up and they're like, we got to just replace that person. Maybe they'll do that to her.
Have they? Who have they completely face swapped? I remember the mustache thing with Henry Cavill. I don't remember anyone being completely face swapped throughout an entire movie. Am I missing something? They just said they're all brainwashed into thinking every evil is due to men, especially white men. Well, of course it is, Basil. Have you not been looking at the world and see what all the evil white racists have been doing to all of us? Oh, that's what they think.
Because look, they kind of like surrounded her with the patriarchy in this picture. They just took a bunch of white dwarves and like, you know what? This is what you get.
Yeah. Think about there's sneezy.
Hashtag. What's the? I had the joke and I didn't have the wording. What is the casting couch meme with the girl and the black dudes?
Patriarch and grumpy patriarch.
But think about it. Maybe it's possible this actress never actually believed any of the garbage and was just saying this because her agent and Disney were like, this is what we're going for. And so she said, okay, I'll say these things on the carpet. I think the likelihood is she's woke.
Well, I'll go a little further and just say, I don't know.
There we go. Snow White be like,
is she 20 years old, 22 years old or something? She's just a kid. I've said a lot of bad things about her lately because she put herself in a position where I need to publicly oppose her. But at the end of the day, on a human level, I have a lot of sympathy for dumb kids being dumb kids.
For
you
sure.
know, but I just got to say, I got to push back. We got to stop calling 22-year-olds children.
No, you know, I actually,
I'm with Jeremy. I completely disagree with that. A 22-year-old is a fucking child. A 22-year-old is a child. We definitely can expect way more from a 22-year-old than we can from a 15-year-old. But in the same way that we can expect way more from a 15-year-old than we can from a 7-year-old, that doesn't make the 15-year-old not a child. I'm sorry, but as of the millennial generation, which is my generation, being 22 is not the end of your development. I sure as shit hope not. Because I mean, at 22, I thought I knew everything. And so many people do. Like, why? That absolutely. This is why, you know, people like Vivek are talking about raising the voting age. This is why I'm down to raise everything up to 25. Drinking, guns, voting, all that stuff. Raise the age to 25 because people are not, smart enough, mature enough, developed enough, engaged enough to have anything that we could call them adults. They're sheltered. I mean, obviously, you know, the law is 18. I'm not arguing that, but this idea that we shouldn't treat a 22-year-old kid like a kid and treat them like a fully grown adult, nah. Was it Luke Skywalker and Indiana Jones recently, but not for the whole movie? I'm missing something here. All right, I don't know what the fuck y'all are talking about. Opus said, I don't think people reach maturity till 30 since millennials. Exactly. Hey, shout out to Daniel Cabrera. Welcome to the party. Did you hear a lady was arrested for accidentally stabbing a baby? What? No, I did not hear that.
I appreciate you calling me out on this. I went on at length about this publicly not 2 weeks ago, that we infantilize adults by calling them kids.
Right.
She is young, and she's particularly young in the way that our culture measures age today. And so I have some sympathy for her, but you're right.
So I do, yeah. I mean, technically Tim is correct, but I disagree that we should treat people like they're older. Like, if you have a 22-year-old who is mature, then great. Treat them like a mature person. But it's just, nah.
Right. She is no kid. She's an adult. She has agency. She's responsible for her actions.
And
I take that rebuke.
Yeah, and I think, because I was talking about this earlier too, we need to
Exactly. 169. 22 was an adult 45 years ago because society expected of them. We stopped having those expectations.
Bingo.
Spot on.
Millennials are our lost generation. I'm sorry, guys. I know everyone's like, but Tim, you're a millennial.
We're getting
I
hungry,
know,
guys.
But I talked about the survey last week. Boomers, Gen X, and Gen Z all say they will be comfortable with 120,000 a year. Millennials, the one generation, they say they need 500,000.
500,000 a year.
Yes. And there's some weird thing that happens. And I know.
Were we already talking about this? Did he mention this in another thing where because I feel like we already addressed this. I don't remember if I was talking to you guys about it or I just heard this when I was listening. But that seems like a weird. I wouldn't expect that. I mean, millennials are out of their mind, but I still wouldn't expect 500,000 to be comfortable. Yeah, we were talking about this because what does comfortable mean?
Oh, she's what, 22? So she's actually Gen Z, I believe, then, right? It's not absolute. It's not one for one. Right. But we need to start telling people, like, you need to be an adult. You need to start taking care of yourself. But that being said, imagine she is genuinely woke, genuinely opposes patriarchy and all that. And then one day, like you said, is she even in this photo? They rushed out CGI. They cranked this photo out.
Yeah, man. I just turned 34 yesterday, and I feel like I'm 18.
I imagine she gets blindsided by this.
Oh, the oldest, whitest Bob Iger.
What movie is that? Anyone said maybe we should start teaching kids to become adults at 18 instead of the opposite. Crazy idea. One thing is Tim Pool uses boomer arc. It's not very effective. Yeah, I mean, well, this is the I don't know, because the boomer aspect would be like, oh, you're 30, you don't even know anything. Wait till you're 40. That's boomer mentality. I think that's the opposite. I see what you're saying, but I gotta disagree. Hey, shout out to Basil, the Pumpin' Seagull. Thank you, sir. Of course, that gets a treat for Morty. Thank you, sir. And come on, eat it. And that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. What does Basil say? Today's 100K is like 60K in 1995. Yep. I mean, the way the curve of inflation has been insane. Oh yeah, he's been a millionaire. Daniel Cabrera said, I'm alive. Ribs are healing auditions this weekend and going to see the new Godzilla in 2 weeks. There you go. Glad to see you alive and well.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just takes away her little dream.
That's right.
Yes.
And she's contractually obligated. I wonder if she got an angry phone call. What is this? I don't want to be a part of this. It's insulting and ableist.
Wasn't it not just her saying this? Wasn't it? Isn't Wonder Woman?
Gal Gadot,
wasn't she also saying?
She was, but if you watch the clips with Gal Gadot, and I realize I'm being very soft here on all of these guys, which isn't my usual reputation, but if you watch Gal Gadot standing beside her saying things like, we're not going to be saved by the prince, and you can kind of tell that Gal Gadot is trying to be generous to this young woman standing next to her.
Right.
She's also trying to like be one of the girls and be on the team. You know, she's trying to
be part of the woke mob,
to have friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I cannot stand how feminists insult women. And I'll tell you why. It's not just feminists. I understand that back in the day, men would laugh at, oh, my wife goes shopping. Oh, geez. And I'm just like, there's this article that was put out.
Shout out to Matt Wright. He belongs in the kitchen, right? Oh, if she was good in the kitchen, she wouldn't have the black eye. Oh, my God.
Today that claims women are better hunters than men. And that this university, yeah, right. Jeremy's face is like, are you kidding me? Yeah, they said women actually can do endurance better than males can, which means in prehistoric days, they were hunting more than we realize and we're better.
No. I said social maturity is impossible for people living their lives on the internet. I went to a movie the other day and the Zoomers at the counter were wholly incapable of social interaction. Yeah, it is a real problem. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't even know how to add to that. It's a problem. You know, I've been talking about like, oh, maybe when Gen Z gets gets of age, they'll be legit. And then I was like, we're getting close and it's not happening. But okay, all right, maybe Gen Alpha. And then I'm looking at like, wait a minute, Gen Alpha are millennials kids. That's not going to go well. So whatever the kids of Gen Alpha, hopefully, they will turn this around. Because millennials aren't too far off from saying they need half a mil, to be honest. That's what the poll said. That's what the poll said. But I don't believe that. Society is really effed up right now when doctors are making 80K a year and OF models are making 80K a month. Facts. Yeah, don't forget, if you have a problem with it, you can go and get your special needs helmet. Shout out to Matt Wright.
And I'm like, no, just stop. Shut up. Women going and gathering and protecting and raising children is honorable and extremely important. But in this Malthusian political era where they despise the creation of more humans, they have to insult women for being caregivers.
The greatest technological advancement since fire is not the printing press. It's not the internet.
Ooh, I remember what he says. Does anybody remember or not remember? Does anybody know what he's going to say? The greatest invention. Let's go back.
They have to insult women for being caregivers.
Put your guesses in the chat.
The greatest technological advancement since fire.
Hey, we got Joe Mama in the building. Welcome to the party. You are here. Good to see you, brother. All right, so the greatest technological advancement in human history.
Women for being caregivers.
The greatest technological advancement since fire.
All right, Melody says the condom.
It's not the printing press. It's not the internet. It's not electricity. It's...
All right, any other guesses? Maybe plan B? All right. Any other guesses? No? All right.
The sanitary napkin. And the thing that
The sanitary napkin. Clean up your bloody innards.
one really can contemplate in today's day. Even women today a woman today is so disconnected from every woman who lived before the 20th century that she can't really
No, not contraception. Sanitary napkins, the ability to keep your vagina clean when you're bleeding. Listen to what he's saying about it.
Contemplate in today's fire is not the printing press, it's not the internet, it's not electricity, it's the sanitary napkin. And the thing that no one really can contemplate.
Oh yeah, same thing.
In today's,
I mean, not the same thing, but I mean, it serves the same purpose.
Even women today a woman today is so disconnected from every woman who lived before the 20th century that she can't really even imagine what life was like. I know that women weren't the great hunters in days of yore because they were pregnant all the time.
Right.
Or bleeding.
Or had tiny babies that they were nursing all the time, or couldn't leave the cave for 1 out of every handful of weeks. Because
and that still happens in Nepal.
I was going to say, you can look at India and Nepal today, and it's still happening. You have to look for it, but it's still happening. And the life of a woman in pre-industrial times, for this particular reason, is so different than we can possibly imagine. It's just we live on the other side of sanitary napkins and birth control pills.
Yeah, so there's a lot that you guys, a lot of you guys were talking about the pill or the condom or contraception, but the ability to just maintain your cleanliness. And I mean, it's an old joke about, you're going to attract bears if you go hunting with a girl if she's on her period. But the ability to do things in society that, like he said, we're on the other side of it. It was like an industrial revolution, and I don't know if it's officially the most influential thing. I think he's more just making a point. I don't think that it was documented that this is the most thing, but we get the point. Opus said, how did it take until the 18th century to figure out an adult diaper for periods, or the 19th century? I don't know. Well, I guess all the men didn't give a shit, so women were just like, shut up. So we just didn't do anything about it.
And we think that we know what women have been like throughout all of history. That's
what the fuck is an aglet?
It's absurd.
So they make this narrative Snow White is insulting when in fact it is beautiful.
Of course it's beautiful. Yeah.
And then we come back full circle to beauty. Beauty. It matters, and it is not a perverted thing to admire beauty.
And all of these other tropes about women and their desires and what they want. I was reading that, why do women like shopping? Because it's the modern equivalent of gathering. And I'm like,
I think it's because they like pretty things.
Well,
that's why I go shopping.
But why do you like pretty things? Colorful things in the wild, berries and fruits. Yep. The reason why women can see more shades of different colors, the reason why women are more likely to be tetrachromats, seeing with the wider spectrum, is because the idea being, and I'm not saying it's 100% correct, but it's plausible. Women are gathering, collecting, foraging, extremely important for human civilization.
Makes sense to me. Makes sense to me.
And men were hunting.
Mm-hmm.
So men have spatial reasoning and like they can map things better, but women create human beings.
Oh yeah, they do these studies all the time. You like put men and women in a circle in a room, and over time, all of the women begin to lean in and all of the men begin to lean out looking for predators. It's just,
oh wow.
We're just
I'm surprised I hadn't heard of that. I'm trying to think if there's a I mean, it definitely makes sense, but I'd never heard of that.
It's wired.
Camille Paglia talks about that with the women in Italy, and she talks about how absurd it is now that women and men are meant to do the exact same type of job. And she talks about in the old villages, the women would gather around, the well or the pump. And this comes up in New Hampshire as well, and the growth of the soil and all of that stuff. Women create these communities, and it really is kind of tragic that these communities have fallen apart, because that's where you would learn things about raising your children. That's where you would learn things about preparing food and making clothing and all of these kinds of things.
And so then we're talking about the other day, we're talking about how all these middle school teachers are starting to say like, yo, these kids are not where they're supposed to be. Not just some of them, all of them. And meaning they can't read, they can't sit still, they can't listen to directions, they can't pay attention to you for 5 seconds. and it's the parenting. It all lines up. It's all connected. It's all connected. Hey, shout out to Basil the Pumpkin Seagull with another Canadian 5. Let's get Morty our treat for every single donation or super chat. Thank you, sir. Out sponsored himself. Basil said, women are beautiful at any size and shape. Bigot, men, show abs, show abs or die alone. There you go. That is modern Western culture. Women are beautiful at any size and shape. Men better show abs or die alone. Well said, sir. Well, sir. Out sponsoring yourself. Well said. Thank you very, very much.
And now it's just gone.
Yeah, building community is something that women are uniquely.
Really? Come on, baby.
Good at. And, you know, so
thank you again, Basil.
I'll self-promote for a minute. We've just released the trailer yesterday for this new film that we're doing called Lady Ballers.
So those of you who are here right now, did you see the trailer at all when I played it before? If you have, let's do that. If you have not seen the trailer for Lady Ballers, put a 1 in the chat. I played it before, but it's funny. We can play it again if you haven't seen it.
And I give a speech in the film about the difference between men and women. And the whole film, you're seeing men just completely dominate women's sports.
Well, let's pull it up.
Well,
we have this. I chose the best source I could, out.com.
All right, I guess.
And they've titled it, "This trailer for a quote comedy film about trans athletes is the worst thing we've ever seen."
Oh. Hey, shout out to Steve in the building. Welcome to the party. Yeah, new movie that is coming out. I think they're about to play the trailer. If not, I can. I'll play it again. It's hilarious. It's coming out in 2 days.
Jeremy, what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, I'm looking up the article now.
So here, let's just play it one more again.
In a world,
this is the trailer for Lady Ballers,
where women's sports is being
Shout out to Wiley
transformed. The Daily Wire calls foul with the most triggering comedy of the year.
Guys, this is serious. Sports can be your pathway to a better life.
Well, like yours?
Please don't steal my catalytic converter again. Winning matters. It's the key ingredient in becoming a winner.
Maybe we should try it sometime. Are you gonna move?
I am not.
Let's cut to the chase. I know you're not a woman.
You don't know how he identifies.
If you can beat them,
What do you know about the U.S. Opens for the Global Games?
You want us to compete as women. $5,000 prizes.
My lover says you were a great coach back in the day.
join me.
This is the way the world is now. My 8-year-old daughter told me all about it. So a guy can become a girl with no physical changes at all.
Oh,
yup.
That's called gender fluid.
So I can be a woman on the court and a man in the bedroom. I can't believe it. Nice.
You mean when you're sleeping?
Yes.
Coach,
Alex,
we could play basketball. We have to get the whole team back together.
It's time
We're in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
to play
Lady Ballers. Mount up.
like a girl.
I'm tired of a girl. This is my turn.
From heroes
Day one of being a girl athlete. I love being a girl.
to sheroes.
We could dominate every woman's sport. Running, swimming, soccer. I said sport, Felix. It's ladies basketball, boys. Nobody watches. Excuse me. Are these seats open? Never mind.
Getting dunks. Getting dunked. And tucking trunks.
Basketball. Good ball. Good ball.
No, she didn't.
It's some people saying dodgeball, grandma's boy.
That's the biggest I've ever seen on a lady.
I don't care.
Lady Ballers.
One can even be trans age now, which provides Sheelix with a wonderful opportunity to relive all the experiences that she missed out on in school.
Streaming exclusively on Daily Wire Plus December 1st.
Let's go. And shout out to Melton Mind Media. It gives me this. Oh, Jesus. Hold on. This tweet, somebody, Josh Friedmaster, real nerd, DC sports fan, bad movie lover, slayer of fake nerds, etc. Says the quartering did covered this. Daily Wire releases a movie that will cause epic meltdown from woke clowns, starring Matt Walsh and more. It's one joke and a bunch of media persona cameos don't make a good movie. It'll bomb and win some Razzies. Wanna bet? Because I'm pretty sure people are going to love this shit. And it's not just going to be, it's not just going to be, anti-woke people. This is going to have a wide audience. People miss these kinds of movies. This is what we were talking about before, is that, whether it's basketball or whether it is Grandma's Boy or any of those movies, what was the other one? I was talking about Adam Sandler films and Seth Rogen films. We just don't have that. And Mike used that beautiful word of irreverence. And yeah, Blades of Glory, another a great one. I mean, it's yeah. And I'm very excited for that for that to come out. Yeah. So if anybody didn't know, Razzies are like an award for the worst movies, but it's when people hate it. Yep. Oh, that was an era. A golden age of comedy movies. And it's just all gone. They don't even try anymore. I mean, Bill Burr just put out a decently good movie. It went straight to Netflix, Old Dads. Definitely worth watching. And it was definitely hilarious, but it was kind of run of the mill. But this just it's gonna hit different.
So it says, I chose this one because, of course, we have to go for the criticism. It's a well-known fact that right-wingers cannot make good art and don't have a sense of humor. At the same time, I just want to pause. Y'all call Joe Rogan right-wing, and he is one of the top comedians of all time. So nice try, but let's read. They say the Daily Wire is reminding us all with the new preview for its first feature-length comedy, Lady Ballers. In a world where women's sports is being transformed, the Daily Wire calls foul with the most triggering comedy of the year. So, of course, they're absolutely triggered by it. But in real news, we have this story from Daily Wire. So you just went on Patrick Bet-David's show, and the headline is, Jeremy Boring says theaters won't touch Lady Ballers because Hollywood has made transgenderism its religion.
Yeah.
But
so that's going to be an interesting to see how it plays out, about how when you think about Terror on the Prairie, with the movie they did with Gina Carano, that was not meant to be like for everybody. What is a Woman certainly wasn't for everybody. Convicting a Murderer, I only saw the first episode that they put on YouTube, but again, not for a wide audience. This is going to be for a wide audience. So I think that once, they're going to put it on their website probably for a decent amount of time, and then try to have it elsewhere, whether it's, it's not going to be on Netflix, but like Amazon or somewhere else where you could pay to watch it. And then eventually they're just going to, release it, and people are going to like it. Because I said, oh, it's my prayer, and I want to pray to the baby Jesus. Sweet baby Jesus. Opus said, this movie would have been zero controversial and at least half a dozen celebrity comics in it if it were in the 90s. Yep. I was like, man, I can't remember a funny comedy in the past 5 years. Yeah, I mean, not a mainstream movie. They don't even try anymore. They don't even try, because the notion of comedy itself is under attack, that, oh, you can't say this, you can't say that. It wouldn't be funny. So they don't even try.
Just to get the whole thing going, you put out a new trailer. Yep. It's about guys who find a path towards making money by identifying as women, but why don't you take it away?
Yeah, I mean, it's all in the name, right? Lady Ballers. Here, I'm going to read this from Out, though, because it sets it up well. It says, the premise of Lady Ballers seems to be that any out-of-shape 50-year-old white man is, by nature of being a man, a better athlete than any woman could ever hope to be. You see, women are just factually bad at sports, this movie states. First of all,
What?
Nobody involved in the movie is 50. Second of all, we do not state that women are factually bad at sports. We state that women are factually worse at sports than men.
Bingo. It's science.
It is.
Trust the science, guys. That's what I mean. So the only thing I see from this trailer is a story about an all-trans basketball team beating the odds to achieve their dream. Feel like this is as woke as it gets. I am sorry, Opus, but we have a new comment of the night. All I see is an all-trans basketball team beating the odds to achieve their dream. How could you see it any other way? Unless it's a dog whistle. Good one. Love it.
Women are factually worse at sports than men.
It's science.
It is. It is truly science.
Don't you trust the science?
Men are stronger and faster than women.
And this is why
full stop. The left can't even acknowledge that basic fundamental reality. Since they can't acknowledge that basic fundamental reality, they can't understand why we have any of the opinions that we have. They're not allowed to know that it's true, and so they don't know that it's true.
Well, but then I would ask, why then do they have testosterone limits? Why do they have that standard for? So the reality is,
obviously, because there is a reason that we separate sports into categories. But again, they can't admit that. He is where is he? He's you guys know how to well, since it's Basil, our sponsor of the stream. Hi, Moore, you doing okay over there, bud? Yeah, my good boy. He's such a good boy. Tag was the last funny film I recall in 2018. Was that with? Okay, yeah, I remember that. That was pretty funny. That's like the only one though, right? Diddy Film said Jeremy Boring for president. That dude gets shit done. Yeah. I mean, I think he's probably better off in the private sector than in the government, but hell yeah.
Because they do know they're just lying.
That's right.
Well, and we see it across the country. We see in Maine and in California just recently, there were male athletes competing in women's, cross-country events, and they were taking home all the awards for sure. And that's going to keep happening.
The average high school boy involved in track runs faster than world record Olympian women.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, we saw the women's
average.
U.S. soccer team was beaten by a high school team. Yeah.
When I was talking about this article that said prehistoric women were better hunters, and it's the argument was that because
did we not already go over this? Didn't he not already say this?
And it's all nonsense. It's like because of women have they carry more body fat, they have more energy for endurance. That actually creates drag and more weight. And so I was like, I can debunk this very simply. I think actually your debunking was better. They were pregnant, they were nursing children, so they're not out hunting.
Okay, we did talk about it. He just brought it up like it was something we hadn't talked about. I was very confused.
But I just said, okay, I pulled up marathon time and distance, and sure enough, men beat women in all of it.
Well, let me just here's a little mental exercise for you, a riddle, if you will.
I will.
Why do we even have women's sports?
Because sometimes people wear dresses.
Answered a riddle with a riddle.
We have women's sports because if you didn't have women's sports, women would never win at any sports. But the whole purpose of creating women's sports as a category was so that there was a place where women could excel.
And that's not like a controversial hot take. That's as minty as it gets. That is as minty of a take as it gets. That's not that's just the matter of fact.
Well, and that's what Title IX was all about.
That's right.
And now that's been completely destroyed.
And the left wing, the leftist argument is we have women's sports because sometimes people wear dresses.
Mm-hmm.
But that's seriously it. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And that's that looks like the premise of your movie, where these guys are like, wait, I can identify as a woman, playing the team, and then identify as a man later. Yep, gender fluid. Yep.
And I think that is a key as to why this will be lighthearted enough to garner a wide audience. That It is ridiculous. Most people do find it ridiculous. And especially if you go all the way to the gender fluid, where it's like, oh, it's just what I feel in the moment. I'm not saying that I cannot fathom that somebody would have this notion that their gender change. I'm sure there's crazy fucking people all over the place about all kinds of shit. But the notion that by your own parameters, your own rules, this movie is exactly what is happening and is going to happen. I think people are we talked about that tipping point. I think there's going to be a lot of people that once this movie comes out, and it is funny, and people are talking about it, we're going to see, oh, all the people who are against this stuff, but too afraid to talk about it, they're going to start talking about it. And when all of these people start talking about it all at once, and everybody realizes, oh, it was only this Twitter crowd that actually cared about pushing this stuff in the first place, and they're just rabid, crazy people who will find you and dox you and come after your job. Oh, why are we dealing with this? Why? Because I said, people in general are just terrified of being called out and risking losing their income and status for saying the truth. That's all. Hence, we are in big trouble. But again, I believe it is changing. The tide is turning. Guantex said, I just recently rewatched Destiny debate 6 or 7 people on why trans women shouldn't compete in women's sports. Highly recommend if anyone wants to dive into some deep water on the subject. Yeah, man, drop that link in the Discord. Yeah, and I mean that's why on this channel we really like Destiny. I use his stuff all the time, and I talk about him in a positive light, even though I disagree with a lot of his positions and a lot of the processes that he uses to filter things and come to a conclusion. He's a smart dude. He is not trying to win points. She's trying to just be a normal person and happens to disagree. What is that? I can't pull up videos without knowing what it is.
Story's actually based
sometimes you wear a dress, sometimes you don't.
Jeremy's movie's based on Zuby.
Exactly.
Well, there was a thing recently. There was a.
You guys are so obsessed with Destiny's dick. It is so fucking weird that you can't hear about a dude and not talk about his dick. It is so fucking weird. That is weird, dude. It's really, really weird. I'm just letting you know. It's weird.
A trans identified male murdered a trans identified female in Norway.
Just gave me a headache.
I know.
Thanks.
It really happens.
My goodness.
But the Norwegian papers reported this as woman kills man.
Oh,
but really, it's just your typical man kills woman, just like we see all over the place.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know?
This is why I can't stand. I think I'm not.
I don't know, man. This is what I'm saying. I've been saying this, but Gen Alpha right now can't do anything. They can't read in 7th grade. They can't read. They can't do math. They can't be away from a screen for more than 30 seconds. I don't think they're going to do shit. I think they're going to sit in front of their screens exactly as they're doing right now and continue to do that. I thought that my own generation, that the millennials, when we were being crazy in college, the thing was like, oh, wait till they get to the real world. And then they took over the real world. So the young people are what they're doing. They're doing what they're doing. They're doing what they're doing. Like, yeah. So they're at like 10 years old. That's not, that's not good. At 10 years old, you should know how to fucking read. You should know how to do math. You should be able to be a normal person. It's crazy. It's sad. It is horrifying.
I'm not sure if Fox News does this. I think they may use preferred pronouns or presumed pronouns, I think is the important distinction. Presumed pronouns are when these media organizations will use atypical pronouns without actually knowing preferred pronouns. So for instance, the Daily Mail does this all the time. If there is a person that is presumed to be trans, they will use the inverse pronouns, even though they don't actually know if that person uses the pronouns they're trying to, because of like UK hate speech laws or something like that.
When I was still a professor teaching journalism, fiction, all that stuff, the style guide changed and they wanted black to be capitalized, but white to be lowercase. So there's these little insidious ways that they're they're changing literal language.
I refuse to do that.
Oh, I'll never do that. It's ridiculous.
It's really stupid.
It's insane.
Yeah,
That's
it's
so
bad
creepy.
enough that we have to capitalize Hispanic, which means person from South America who speaks Spanish.
Yep.
Doesn't I don't even know if it means from South America.
I can see them. They just I can see it because I have the YouTube chat open. So feel free to use them. They just won't come up on here. Unfortunately, get your shit together, StreamYard. Get the goddamn emojis in the goddamn chat.
Does it?
Well, it doesn't mean Spain.
No, it means speak Spanish, doesn't it?
I thought it meant
I thought it just meant
Central
someone who
South
speaks Spanish.
America, but not Spain.
Then I guess Brazil's out of that, huh?
Brazil is not in that. And
Yeah.
that's what sort of shows the whole lie right there.
Right.
That makes it just absurd.
Wow. Yep.
Here's a line from this Out article about us. It says,
I love how much you love this article.
He's just sitting there reading about himself.
Here's the thing: if you're going to win an election, if like you're way up in the polls, you always watch MSNBC,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
It's much more fun to read what they say about us than what we say about us. But I like this. It's not clear if director and star Jeremy Boring has ever written or acted before. I mean, it is clear if you could Google in the time you did this, or if he has ever met a woman in real life. And the answer is, I guess I don't know, based on whatever descriptor they might use for the.
Oh, I don't know. What is a woman? Oops. I'll for a while. I'll so that you guys can see what the I think because I think it's interesting to see what the actual text of the emojis are. So I'll pull them up for a while, but use them at your own will.
How do they define it?
How do they define it?
Holy moly. I love
This
it.
is fun.
You should frame this.
So I just looked it up, and Hispanic is a Spanish-speaking person living in the U.S.
Living in the U.S.
comma, especially one of Latin American descent. So you're correct.
I'm
but
close.
The general
Close, right?
concept is if you like Jeremy, if you learn Spanish right now, you're Hispanic.
Yeah, right. What? A Spanish-speaking person who lives in America? The Latin descent should be a pretty big part of that, I would think. No?
Yeah.
That's weird. I don't quite understand, but
Weird.
I guess realistically, there's also a joke in the trailer about trans age.
Yeah.
But this is trans age was attempted in a lawsuit. I think
that is the reddest of all red lines. If you don't understand why trans ageism is the red line of all red lines, let me know. I will explain it to you because it is the red line of all red lines. Trans ageism cannot ever be a thing. Do I need to explain why? Yeah, the Latinx. It's not the Latinx.
I think it was a professor who did it as an attack on the concept of identity. It may have been in Europe as well, saying I actually identify as 30 when they were 59 or something. And
So that's an interesting thing to point out because we were talking about the philosophy things yesterday, and it's like bestiality and all that stuff. And it's like, whoa, what are we talking about? And Chester correctly said that if we have a principle, we have to test it on the extremes. Otherwise, the principle isn't a principle. It's just it's just an opinion, and that is that's exactly what's going on here. New Film says, I consider myself Latin as my grandmother's family came from Italy. Wouldn't that? But okay, fair enough. Melody My Media said, can't wait for the reviewers to say, of course, a Jeremy Boring movie is boring. Yep. Basil said, trans ageism? Is that for 50-year-old pedos to say they are 15 and go for a 13-year-old?
Of course.
Yup. That is why trans ageism can never, ever be a thing. Because this is exactly what it is. Like, there might be a few people who are like, oh, well, I feel like I'm older. I feel like I'm younger. But it's going to be all rapists. All of it.
Well, there's that British guy who wears diapers and says he identifies as Stefani, like a 5-year-old girl or something.
Is he the guy who filmed himself in public?
I don't know, but he was adopted by other grown-ups who let him play with their daughter.
Yeah.
Which is nasty. Absolutely not. I'd love to see you, Shane.
Listen, in New York City,
unless we actually stand up, come together, and speak out, support things like Lady Ballers, and get our society to the point where we're past that tipping point, where people who are just as crazed about how terrible this shit is, but they're too scared to say so, they can finally be like, oh, okay, I can say this now. I know you guys have been fighting. Even though, Lutch, you don't have any children, you're fighting every goddamn day against this shit. Meanwhile, I have children who are being affected, and I'm I just, whatever. Now I can finally speak out. Now I can finally speak up. Just from Rome. Rome is in Italy. I mean, yeah, fair enough. But like, obviously, usually we say Italian.
Gender identity is a protected category, which includes gender expression, and gender expression is legally defined as self-expression. So I went over this in 2018. Quite literally, the clothing you wear, the name you use, you cannot be discriminated against. So that this means everything. You could show up in stilts and clown makeup, and they can't tell you're not allowed to wear it. It's against my gender identity.
How dare you? That's my gender identity. I identify as a clown.
Wear these clothes. It would be discriminatory. Now New York is saying, I don't know if you saw this, weight and height. You can't discriminate on the basis of weight.
No.
And height. Let's go. Tall king in the building. Nah, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. I'm a real short king. I'm getting fuck if I could identify as this, that, and the other. 5'4", baby. 5'4" for life. Let's go.
Discrimination against fat people. So, but
what if someone can't fit? So here, think about this. Someone goes to a movie theater in New York and they're 300 pounds and they say, I can't fit in these chairs. Well, now you're discriminating because you're not providing an accommodation to large people.
Didn't the firemen in New York change the weight requirements years back too?
Yeah, and cops, all kinds of stuff.
Maybe not just in New York, but I was in New York at the time when I saw it. It's it's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, Context said, I honestly think the trans kid issue is the last thing that will prove we're not on the slippery slope. We're free falling into hell. Do not let that shit happen, or we will have trans ageism and worse. I don't even know what could be worse, but it definitely can always get worse.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
But here's the thing: we have to mock these ideas.
I agree.
What brought us to make Lady Ballers is, one, understanding the power of mockery, and two,
wrong state, but I'll take it.
Honestly, something that Joe Rogan said about a year ago, a little over a year ago. So he had a guest on his show, and he said, he talks about this a lot. Nope, Hollywood won't make comedies anymore. And
hey, I did not remember that he said that. And I straight up said they're just not trying anymore. They just don't care. They know that they can't make funny stuff because that irreverence, shout out to Mike, that irreverence is gone. It's not allowed anymore.
It's absolutely true. Barack Obama destroyed rock and roll, and he destroyed comedy, and he destroyed America. Other than those three things, great president.
He also killed American citizens without charge or trial.
Nice. But he made it impossible for us to tell jokes.
Yeah.
And that's why from the 90s and the early 2000s, you had great comedies being produced by Hollywood. You haven't had one since Tropic Thunder because you're not allowed.
Oh, okay. What year was Tropic Thunder? 2008. Okay. I mean, yeah, that was in the before time. That was in the before time.
To make any jokes.
True.
So
yeah, what is the?
go ahead.
Are there any recent comedies? I mean,
no,
they're not funny.
You can't make a comedy.
Yeah. No,
really. And obviously, we went through this.
And so I wanted to use comedy and mockery. Rogan talks about it all the time, and he said to a guest a little over a year ago, he said nobody can make a comedy now. He said if anybody was going to do it, it'd have to be one of these conservative streamers like the Daily Wire. And when he said it, yes, people send you that. What Joe Rogan mentioned, the Daily Wire, they send it to you. But it really struck me, and I thought this is kind of a challenge and a responsibility. If it is true that only the Daily Wire could do this, then it stands to reason that the Daily Wire must do it. If we actually believe the things that we purport to believe.
Mind Media, thank you for hanging out. You have a good one, brother.
And we actually are uniquely capable of challenging this new status quo wherein you're not allowed to make fun of anything, including the most absurd things that are happening in our culture. Then we just have to do it.
Just anything. I mean,
and that is again, when you see somebody taking up the I wish you motherfuckers would have watched Loki. Like that is a Loki moment right there. God damn it, you guys need to watch Loki. I'm trying to think of another example, but where he just has that idea that this is my responsibility and I have to do this. I don't have to do this, but I must do this. That is something that you just don't see. People don't feel a drive to do anything. That's the kind of shit I love to see. That's the type of shit I like to see. Yeah. It's I mean, definitely MCU's gone to shit since Endgame, but Loki, both seasons, you have to watch both seasons because it's one story through 2 seasons. But the best Marvel property since Endgame. Not saying much, but it's definitely worth the watch.
Over the holiday weekend, I'm hanging out with Seamus and my girlfriend, and it's after Thanksgiving. So, you know, Seamus is from Chicago as well. And we were all making jokes about our backgrounds. The issue of family history comes up, and then we make jokes. Seamus makes jokes about being Irish and being the potato man and stuff, and we play along with it, and he laughs. And then we make jokes about Korea, and we're all laughing at each other. And the left would call them racist jokes.
Yep.
I would just call it me and my friends having a good time with each other and laughing.
Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that used to be what it was. That used to be what it was. That being irreverent, shout out to Mike again, was just part of having fun. It was never really about you know, the morality of anything, because everybody understood that there was a level of respect and all that stuff underneath. I'm telling you guys, it is good. It is good. Give us their backstories. I'm telling you, I mean, if I told you, then I'd spoil the whole thing.
I'll tell you this: in the '90s, we could still make those jokes.
They were good.
Are you sure? He is a god, you know. He is a god, not a person, and has died and came back already once before, and did a lot more after he came back in terms of entertaining us than he did before. Shout out to Unban My Heart over on Twitch. Welcome to the party. So I think it is still everywhere, but online and at work in big companies. What are we talking about? Just like wokeness in general? I think it's still everywhere, but online and at work. What's everywhere?
Good jokes.
They were good jokes. And there was far, far less racial division in the country.
I remember, that was very distinct. And coming up into the 2000s, and you're looking back at the 90s going, we were colorblind, we were friends with everybody. None of it was a very big deal. And I remember distinctly, probably something like 2012, running into an old friend of mine from college, a Black woman. We were hanging out at this bar in Brooklyn.
That's racist. How could you say that she's Black?
We were just chatting, and she said something that was totally different than what she thought when we were in college. She said that when people see her, she wants them to see her Blackness first. She wants them to see her race first.
This is the complete opposite of, you know, the idea of being colorblind. And I've talked about this before, the idea that I think we, you know, to deal with legitimate racism, we did need to have, we did need to go to a colorblind phase first, so that we could like establish everybody is equal under the eyes of the under the law. Then we can be educated, aware enough to be able to celebrate the differences between cultures. But it just went too far, like everything else. Yep, yeah, you can't do that anymore. Can't do that anymore.
And I was like, but why? Like, that's not what I see when I look at you. And the switch was that now it was racist to not notice race.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Whereas previously, none of us had cared at all.
Nope.
Cult indoctrination.
You know?
Yep.
And we're from similar backgrounds, you know, similar schools, all of that. We went to the same, you know, private college, everything.
And so what is the one and only thing that can cause that? There is one. There is only one thing that can cause an interaction like she just talked about. Nobody? I say it all the time.
Watching them destroy comedy, though, with their ideology was so hurtful for me, because comedy is one of my favorite art forms, you know.
Shout out to California.
For 2 reasons. It brings people together. We can make fun of each other. I love Kill Tony. It's one of my favorite shows. They roast the heck out of each other. They're brutal. I love that. I do that with my friends. But also, like Mel Brooks used to say, comedy, mocking people could destroy your enemies. Right. And that's what he would do in his
right,
some
like
of his
look
movies.
at Rickles, like suddenly you're friends with everybody.
Exactly.
Well, let's actually, I'd like to ask you directly about the film, and what can you say about it? I mean, I don't know if you want to reveal the plot or break down the general premise.
Yep.
What's going on?
Yeah, I'll say more about it than is present in the trailer, which is that, of course.
Ooh, we're getting exclusives behind the scenes.
We start our journey by trying to become successful, by trying to get back in the game. Where this, I'm a coach and I get together my former state-winning boys basketball team and say, hey, if we call ourselves women, we can get back into the game. Pretty soon we realize we're being driven to this by my new girlfriend, who is a journalist and she has very ulterior motives,
But she's excited for it.
She's driving it. She's like, here's what we're going to do. Think of the sponsorships, think of the fame. And she gets the exclusive. And I'm learning, I'm hearing all these ideas about the trans movement from my 8-year-old daughter, because she goes to public school, and then I pick her up from school every day, and she tells me things like gender fluidity and pansexuality and all this stuff. And
she educates you.
She educates me. Yeah, as they do.
As you do. Yep.
No, she re-educates him. She re-educates and indoctrinates him. To not speak up. Exactly.
But pretty soon we realized that it's not just basketball. I mean, my guys could literally win at every sport. I mean, there's a really funny line where I'm like, hey, to one of the guys, like, hey, you want to hang out later? And he's like, nah, I got to learn how to do a backhand so I can qualify for the women's Olympic tennis. Although, in fairness, we don't use the term Olympic, because you may not know this. You do not have free speech in this country where the word Olympic is concerned.
Really?
What? Obusan, have you seen the Pendragon cycle? They were talking about it earlier. No, I haven't seen it. But it looks interesting. But wait a minute. You don't have free speech in America. What are you talking about, bro?
I know this. You do not have free speech in this country where the word Olympic is concerned.
Really?
Is it like happy
That's why I say
birthday?
global games.
Yeah, it's the global games. You cannot use the term Olympics by law in this country. An actual statute in the United States legal.
That is crazy. Why would that be a thing? Olympics! Fuck you!
Legal code.
Why?
I'm running for president now.
Yeah, you got to run for
Just to change
president.
that.
We need an executive order.
Wow.
When did you realize that in the process, though? Like when you were
very late in the process. Yeah.
Oh, that's
unfortunately. And anyway, all of this to say,
that means reshooting scenes where they said Olympics and having to reshoot it to say global games. Yeah, it looks like I said, they are doing a lot. They are doing a lot between between Tim and Jeremy. So much is being done. So much is being created that I think it's a responsibility of us to support them, just because we need more of what they're doing. We need more people to see, oh, there's money to be made here. We need them to see, oh, we're making money doing this, so let's keep doing this. That's what we need. My heart said we're living in a multi-partisan universe. You heard it here first. Okay, so can you define multi-partisan for me? Because I think I agree with you, but it depends on what you mean by multi-partisan.
Say, and this brings it full circle to what got me on the topic of promoting my own beautiful movie, is that toward the end of the movie, I have to make a case for why, even though men are better at virtually everything, now that's a joke, but everything in this case is sports. Why would someone who is a female want to continue being a female?
Wow. Shit. Okay, getting deep. All right.
They not aspire to be a man. And it was challenging to come up with a list of things to say in a serious moment of the film that women are good at, that people wouldn't roll their eyes at. And then because the things that women are good at are things that our culture has decided don't have high value.
Right. So what do you think? Let's try to list some of those things that he's going to try to list unironically that are not going to get the eye roll. Like if you say, well, you can be a mother. That's very true, but that's going to get the eye roll from a leftist. I don't even know. Just like any feminine thing. Just like, oh, let's see.
Well, and
this is when I
decided
realized
that they don't have high
That's right.
value, which is insane.
This is when I realized that, not for the first time, but had it really reinforced, that the war on men is a war on women. Essentially, had it really reinforced that the war on men is a war on women. Essentially, what the culture hates the most is women, not men.
I agree.
It's women.
That's correct.
I've said this for a while.
I agree. However, that does not mean that it's easier to be a man. But I agree with the assessment.
feminism is destroying femininity.
Yes.
It is telling women to adopt masculine features, masculine roles. This is why
they want everyone to be bad men, bad at being a man, but everybody trying to be a man. That is their goal. Obviously, the left is a self-hating death cult. No one is safe. Nope.
Men are bad, so be just like them.
It's insane. We when you look at the numbers, transgender youth, I think one study said 85% were female to
It's
men.
mostly women cut it. Yeah, it's mostly young girls getting their breasts cut off and wanting to be men. And what they don't realize is it doesn't matter what they do. They're never going to be men. They're still going to be short. They're never going to like look like men. They're never going to have that power.
Does being short mean you're not a man? Come on, Libby. I don't like when you talk like that. I'm offended. I'm a real man.
And they're never going to have that respect. And it doesn't matter even if you put like Jace on the name tag, you know, it's never going to be you. Yeah. When I was a kid, my mom was she was a corporate attorney, and she was often talking about how she was the only woman in the boardroom. And she was like trying to dress and be more masculine and stuff. And the women of her generation, I remember her friends and, you know, my mother-in-law and everything would talk about how they didn't want to cook and they didn't want to clean and they didn't want to do any of these things.
Buy a dog, die alone. How many of those women are not married and are miserable past 60?
And I had a stepmother who all she wanted to do was be a mom. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. She wasn't able to have children of her own. And so she looked at these other women. She looked at my mom and everything and was just horrified that they hated everything that she wanted. You know, they gave up everything that she wanted most.
Yeah, and I mean, doesn't that kind of encapsulate the entire point here? Is that the traditional gender roles are getting mixed up, and it's turning, like Opa said, it's turning everybody into a self-hating death cult. And they, thankfully, we're pushing this back. But I do think we need to address how things got this far in the first place. I don't think it's, something that we can just ignore as if it's not an issue. I really think that we're getting to the point where we're coming out of it. We're coming out of this woke, whatever the fuck you want to call it. We're coming out of this era. And I think it's time to start, securing where we are, making sure that we don't go back in there, but now turning around and looking at what the fuck happened there. How the fuck did lady ballers become a real political pawn? They had Juwanna Mann 20 years ago, and that was, again, just a movie. It was just a movie. It was just a movie. And now they're doing essentially the same thing with a little bit more spice to it. And it's a controversial political cultural meltdown moment. How did we get here? The only way we can ensure that we're not going to get back as we're getting out now, the only way we can ensure that we don't go back is to understand how we got there in the first place. That's the only way. That's the only way. So, I mean, I definitely go check out the rest of the podcast. I think it's, very interesting to hear from Jeremy Boring, specifically where, I mean, it's Jeremy and Ben that are kind of the heads. But Ben is more on the, he has a lot more to do with, his own show and his own brand as Ben Shapiro, whereas Jeremy's more behind the scenes doing all of this shit. And, it's just really nice to be able to hear directly from these people to see that, okay, there are people out there that are doing it. We don't have to lead the charge. We just have to follow them. They're already doing it for us. All we have to do is follow them. Not blindly, but follow them. Follow the people who are doing the right thing, and everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Let's give a big shout out to Melted Mind Media with the comment of the night. Talking about the Lady Ballers trailer. The only thing I see from this trailer is a story about an all-trans basketball team beating the odds to achieve their dream. As woke as it gets. Cheers to that. Dilly, dilly. And then, of course, we had our sponsor of the stream, Basil the Pumpin' Seagull. Thank you so much. Very, 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 very much appreciated. I hope you guys had a good time with this. I think it was cool to be able to kind of mix a little bit of pop culture with the politics. I'm very much a pop culture guy, and I love to be able to get a little bit outside of the wheelhouse of what is the news. And this was a good one. Context we got here by being complacent, lazy, and trustful of the people that treat us like sheep. Do the opposite of those things, and we can hold off the agenda and its peddlers. Fuck yeah! What he said. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Good shit, brother. Good shit. So, I mean, that's where we're at. Disney has said, we fucked up. We went too far with the wokeness, and now we got to scale it back. We went too far with the wokeness, and now we got to scale it back. So all they have to do is actually do that. All they have to do is actually do that. And I think there is an overwhelming majority of people, myself included, who are very open and willing to be like, word up. Disney, you fixed your shit. Well, let's go to the next new movie. I'm probably going to enjoy it. I think a lot of people want that. But right now, there's too many people in the eyes of Disney who are not willing to do that. And that's only good for us. That's only good for us. Because even though we can boycott the movies, not go see this, not go see that, still a lot of people are going to see it. And so if they are the ones, those are the people who need change. The ones who are pushing the culture. Politics is downstream of culture. That's what's been said for so long. And I mean, that's facts. That is facts. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for hanging out. Once again, this is Morty, and I have been your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe on your way out if you haven't. And if you are a member, join the membership. We are headed right to the after party. Until then, guys, I am out of here. Peace.